And at number 10 is Dixie Kong. Starting off this list is one of the more recognizable females in Nintendo's roster of lovable characters. Dixie is Diddy Kong's girlfriend, and since her first appearance in Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest, where she was Diddy's crucial sidekick, she's appeared in 17 different games, being a playable character in 15 of those. Courageous, athletic as hell, and very loyal to her friends, she's always ready to drop everything to help them out on an adventure. She's also got an incredibly versatile ponytail. Yep, that helps her with her helicopter twirl ability that she's famous for. And at number 9 is Elena Fisher from Uncharted. Elena is driven and doesn't let a little danger deter her. Girl goes from broadcast journalist to an investigative journalist and foreign correspondent over the course of the games. And overall, she's a well-rounded character. Intelligent, funny, empathetic, and right on track with that moral compass. You can see why Nathan Drake chose her in the end. And at number 8 is Cortana from Halo. Cortana is a synthetic intelligence character who aids players with tactical information and some good old backstory. And despite being AI, she feels very human, or at least to players, making her more endearing. Also, she's played a major role in saving the galaxy. Kind of a big deal. And fun fact, her design was based off of the Egyptian queen Nefertiti. And at number 7 is Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. She's one of the more recent additions to the world of gaming. She's a curious and charming character determined to uncover the mysteries of her world, and critics and fans alike adored her and the game for how well her character was developed. Being the protagonist, players got to watch her mature over the course of the story, with her confidence growing as you progressed. Also, she kicks butt. Big machine butt. Big time. And at number 6 is Chloe Fraser from Uncharted. Chloe tops Elena on our list because while Elena is impressive, Chloe always felt like more of an equal to Drake when it came to her fighting abilities, with both fists and guns. She's a fantastic treasure hunter, a nuanced character when it comes to her ethics. I mean, her moral compass is a little hazy, let's be honest, but she's a fierce badass. While critics have pointed out that sometimes she's a little objectified in the games, her skills often outweigh many of the other male characters in the series. And she's getting her own game, a DLC called The Lost Legacy that comes out August 22nd, 2017. And at number 5 is Yuna from the Final Fantasy series. Yuna is a selfless character who has been adored by fans and critics alike for years. She's also gotten a lot of attention for her sex appeal, being ranked on many a list online as one of the top sexiest characters in video games. And her relationship with Tidus has been part of her characterization that fans couldn't just get enough of. A lot of fans didn't dig her redesign in Final Fantasy X-2, despite the game making her the main protagonist searching for a way to find Tidus 2 years after his disappearance. But hey, don't let one bad experience taint the whole thing. And number 4 is Samus Aran from Metroid. While initially playing Metroid, Samus is a character that appears in a large exoskeleton armor, which makes sense since, you know, space. Many assume the character was just male though. So when it's revealed that she's female, well, ain't that just damn cool. Samus was one of the first strong female protagonists in video games, and helped change the tide when it came to perspectives about female protagonists in general. Critical response aside, she's a badass ex-soldier turned galactic bounty hunter, who is tracking down space pirates. Yep, that's pretty damn cool. And at number 3 is Princess Peach. Peach, aside from our next number, is probably the most iconic female character to grace your screens. First off, mad props for being resilient, Peach. It ain't easy to be princess of a kingdom that is constantly under attack. Most prominently known for perpetuating the damsel in distress trope, let's not give her too much heat. Girl has been in so many Mario games and even had her own spin-off, Super Princess Peach. She's selfless and generous. She also kicks some serious butt in Mario Kart as that one character who always seems to get in first place. She's more than just a love interest for Mario, which has taken a long time to develop, but it's led her to being one of the most important characters in video game history. And at number 2 is Lara Croft from the Tomb Raider franchise. Previously criticized for being a bit of a female ripoff of Indiana Jones, Lara Croft has come a long way since her first appearance in 1996. The Tomb Raider franchise has appeared on over 20 different platforms. Traditionally, Lara has been seen as a sex symbol, but Lara is also skilled in a ton of different weaponry, is fluent in several languages, and is smart as hell. She fights off against mankind and the supernatural too. The latest additions to the Lara Croft series has given us even a more complex Lara, with 2013's Tomb Raider exploring her growth as a terrified girl learning firsthand how to survive on her own. She transforms into a versatile and inspiring badass capable of holding her own. This sentiment was carried over in the game's 2015 sequel Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was also critically acclaimed. And finally, in at number 1 is Ellie from The Last of Us. Ellie makes her top spot for being, arguably, the most groundbreaking playable female character in contemporary video games. Not only does she endure and persist through The Last of Us post-apocalyptic storyline, she's one of the most resilient and nuanced characters in the game, and she's realistically human on all fronts. While she's only a playable character during one of the 4 seasons in the game, it's one of the most traumatic and intensive levels, and she went on to star in The Last of Us add-on, Left Behind, which gave us more insight into Ellie's past and her friendship with Riley. The add-on captured the emotional turmoil that made the original game so great, and also answered questions many fans had about Ellie's sexuality in a very groundbreaking way. So it makes sense why the internet has lost a over this.
Said I walk beside the still waters and they restore my soul.
This.
Every last one of them.
And number 10 is Baby Mario from Yoshi's Island. Mario is generally a pretty dope character. Historically speaking, he's one of the most iconic. So when Baby Mario made his debut in Yoshi's Island and cried every time in the most blatantly annoying way, people were like, ugh, why? Get separated from Yoshi and your ears will bleed. Because I don't know about you guys, but I definitely love the sound of a crying child. Totally. So fun. So much fun. And at number 9 is the Medusa heads from Castlevania. So these damn things have been plaguing Castlevania players for way too long. For a fairly easy enemy to take out, they're super frustrating and always manage to hit you when you really just need to get past them. Whether you're off to take on a boss or do the task at hand. But of course they're like, hey, we gotta annoy you and ruin your day. They turn you to stone, screwing you over, and sometimes they even knock you off ledges or onto spikes. So yeah, kind of super annoying. They're like the equivalent of an overly large mosquito that yeah, you can totally swat and kill and dispose of no problem, but like if it touches you, it's just so not a thing you want to deal with. And at number 8 is 343 Guilty Spark from Halo. One of the cases of an annoying character who won't shut up that appears on our list, Guilty Spark kind of reminds me of an annoying Boy Scout that you're just stuck with. And maybe I'm just being picky, but I'm not too big of a fan of the egotistical tone he uses.
Your people have grown so dramatic in the last 100,000 years, but please, no more deaths are required.
Kinda condescending. And when he betrays you, it's like, come on dude, I already just disliked you, but now you're just like an incredible inconvenience. Thanks. And at number 7 is Nigel West Dickens from Red Dead Redemption. Dickens is groan-worthy. First off, any character trying to sell snake oil is just bound to be problematic. And while he does end up being mildly useful to John throughout the course of the game, the shenanigans he gets up to that you unfortunately end up having to defend him for just become strenuous and like worthy of major eye-rolling. He's basically the equivalent of a drug dealer who's not really that street smart, but you gotta put up with him anyway because he's like your friend from high school and you just, that whole buddy thing where it's like, I gotta look after you and not be an asshole. Yes, that's basically him. Snake oil and westerns and all. And at number 6 is Michael's family from GTA 5. It seems as if there's always a character in the GTA series that annoys the crap out of you. That calls you when you're busy doing, important crime stuff or up to some hilarious shenanigans. Or they want to hang out with you or bombard you with their own problems. And while we'll be touching on that a little bit later on this list, right now we're taking a look at the family that Michael has to deal with in GTA 5. All of the members of Michael's family constantly doing all of the crap I just described that makes you just want to like, ugh. Your wife sucks. She's banging the tennis instructor and the yoga teacher, who are both annoying self-absorbed douchebags. Your daughter has no concept of self-worth or dignity, and your son? Well, he gets your boat stolen. He's so white it hurts. And the best part? The game forces you as Michael to work through these mandatory story missions with them. That yoga mission? Sure, that'll be a fun subplot for Grand Theft Auto, said the developers for whatever reason. I mean, I get it, it's kind of satirical and like tongue-in-cheek, but like, I don't even like doing yoga in real life. And at number 5 is your rival from Pokemon. Oh hey, I'm gonna pick the Pokemon that's innately stronger than yours because I'm petty and disgruntled that my uncle likes you more than me, is what I imagine the rival's thought process would be. Because he's so special and is gonna be a better Pokemon master than you. Oh, shut up, dude. There's a reason why so many people named you Hat. While your rival in Pokemon, specifically looking at blue, red, and yellow here, does make for some nice conflict early on in the game, he's still so stuck up and self-righteous and just kind of becomes more of an annoyance every time you have to deal with him occasionally later on. Because, you're invested in the more important main plot of the game and he's all like, oh hey, I still exist and I'm still sucking. And at number 4 is the dog from Duck Hunt. Nothing inspires you to keep playing a game more than a big heap of good old mockery. This nameless hunting dog prefers to laugh at you rather than, do its job as a hunting dog. Doesn't matter how many ducks you shoot. The second you miss one, this little asshole is laughing at you. Many feel that this dog was the first annoying character to ever appear in video games. So while you kinda hate his guts, you gotta respect him for being the first to open up that Pandora's box of characters you wish you could just shoot in the face. And at number 3 is Navi from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Don't get me wrong, a little help every now and then is greatly appreciated. And in a game as great and sometimes complex as Ocarina of Time, that can go a long way. That help comes in the form of Navi, technically speaking, because Navi just spends the whole game nagging you. She's like this little voice that's constantly pushing you to a breaking point, being like, hey, watch out, oh hey, listen, oh pay attention to me, hi. Ever heard of personal space? Or silence? Silence can be nice, you don't need to fill every empty moment with nonsense. Fun fact, that's a thing. Ugh. And at number 2 is Roman Bellic from GTA 4.
Nico, it's Roman. Let's go bowling.
Nope.
Hey man, Nick, want to go bowling?
Roman, I'm kind of busy right now, I've just gotta…
Nico, it's Roman. Let's go bowling.
Just stop calling, please. I don't want to go bowling. I got other shit to do. And finally, at number 1 is Natalia from GoldenEye. Oh hey, an escort mission, rad. That won't be too difficult, right? Yeah. No, don't worry, Natalia, the woman you're escorting, will make it as hard as possible for you. Not gonna follow you? Okay, sure, that's super helpful. Runs ahead of you and you've gotta catch up to her constantly? Yep, sure. Then runs into a group of enemies because that makes perfect sense to do, right? Yep. Girl, you gotta figure out your priorities. Dying is actually the opposite of what you want to do, generally speaking, at least. There's actually even a way to kill this character that some players have figured out. And when you finally beat the mission, you can just explode her, and it's very satisfying. It's like soul food for your heart. Starting off this list, we've got the first instance of a queer character in video games. Number 10 is Vivian from Moon Mist. Moon Mist is a text-adventure game that was released in 1986. Vivian is an artist and a criminal, who is jealous about her girlfriend marrying a man, or at least that's how she was described by the game. She's never explicitly labeled, but is a villain in the blue plotline. While there's a lot we could discuss about the negative portrayal of queer characters in early video games, that's a whole other subject for another video. But needless to say, it's definitely a critique that Vivian has received, despite the game being a text-adventure. In at 9, we've got another historically important but also fairly obscure game that features a whole cast of gay and lesbian characters, Caper and the Castro. Published by CM Ralph in 1988, the game was a murder mystery that was released for Apple Mac computers, and was distributed on underground gay bulletin boards. You play the role of a lesbian detective investigating the disappearance of a transgender woman in the Castro neighborhood of San Francisco. Unfortunately, the game no longer exists, and was later adapted into Murder on Main Street by Heiser Software, but was a heterosexual take on the original game. Moving on to the 90s, and at number 8 is Flea from Chrono Trigger. While Flea's sexuality is only touched on in one line of dialogue, it's widely accepted that the character is queer, despite lacking a label. But hey guys, labels aren't everything, sexuality is fluid. So Flea was a villain in the 1995 SNES RPG who many described as gender fluid. Flea announces, male or female, what difference does it make? Power is beautiful and I've got the power. Flea would later go on to make a cameo in the game's sequel, Chrono Cross. And at number 7 is Jimmy Hopkins from Bully. While Jimmy's sexuality is never explicitly stated in the game, the player has the option of kissing both boys and girls in order to regain health. One of the female characters in the game actually points this out in a cutscene, in which she says, I quote, "I'm Helen of Troy and you're more interested in boys called Troy." There's even an achievement in the scholarship edition of the game, called Over the Rainbow, that you can unlock after kissing a boy 20 times. Critics applauded the feature, as many queer characters in games at that time were either typically characterized as having stereotypical masculine or feminine traits if they were not heterosexual. So having a quite masculine character be capable of engaging on a sexual level with whomever he wanted was quite refreshing. But also the player's choice, so make of it what you will. And at number 6 is Jacob Fry from Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Underworld. A statement that the lead writer on Syndicate made about Jacob indicated that the writers made a point of not giving him a female love interest. It was also stated that Jacob, I quote, needed to figure himself out on some degree after working with Maxwell Roth, and speculation concerning his sexuality became a hot topic after that. He was later confirmed as canonically bisexual by the Assassin's Creed official Tumblr. And at number 5 is Sam from Gone Home. Gone Home is an indie game that centers around your character coming home to an empty house at 1 a.m. Through exploration, you gradually uncover the mystery of where your parents and sister have gone. Your sister Sam is the main focus of this, with her leaving notes behind that fill in the gaps of what you're finding in the house, including the discovery that Sam has been struggling with her sexuality and has fallen in love with a girl.
Lonnie brought her hair dye over today. Dyeing hair is weirdly intimate. She said, "You're so beautiful." And she was looking at me.
What is this?
In that moment, I wanted to say something, but I waited, and the moment was gone.
Criticism of the game was that players assumed it was a horror game, and there were hints to a ghost at times in the gameplay to be fair, but the game really shines as a beautiful portrait of a family member learning to accept herself and fight for what she loves. And at number 4 is Birdo. Birdo has an interesting history with her sexuality, and many feel she's technically the first transgender character in a video game. This assumption was made due to the first edition manual of the North American release of Super Mario Bros. 2, where Birdo's character description, named Ostro at the time due to an accident in the printing and in the end credits of the game, reads, "He thinks he is a girl and he spits eggs from his mouth. He'd rather be called Birdetta." And at number 3 is Steve Cortez from Mass Effect 3. Steve is your pilot, whose husband died during a collector raid, and his personal storyline revolves around overcoming this loss. If you're playing as a male in the game, you can woo Steve, which leads to that infamous PG-13 gay sex scene from the game. Steve isn't the only queer character from Mass Effect 3 though. Samantha Traynor is as well, and there's many queer characters in the Mass Effect series as a whole, including the latest addition to the franchise, Andromeda, where 2 pansexual aliens named PB and Vetra have been added to the mix. And at number 2 is Tracer from Overwatch. much. One of the more recent additions to the LGBTQ community in video games is Tracer, who was revealed in 2016 to be in a romantic relationship with a character named Emily in Overwatch's webcomic Reflections. The developer of the game, Blizzard, has previously stated that several characters from Overwatch were part of the LGBTQ community, and gave a statement to Kotaku in which they said, "From the beginning we've wanted the universe of Overwatch to feel welcoming and inclusive, and to reflect the diversity of our players around the world." In the game, Tracer has the ability to control the speed of her passage through time, and is incredibly agile. And finally, in our number 1 spot is Ellie from The Last of Us. While fans had formed speculations of her sexuality from the original game, it was confirmed in the DLC Left Behind that Ellie's relationship with her deceased friend Riley was more than just friendly. In an emotional rollercoaster of a DLC, the two explore a shopping mall together as a final excursion before Riley leaves to join the Fireflies, something Ellie isn't happy about. The two share a kiss before being attacked by clickers who bite the two of them. And while the game ends before the effects of the virus take place, it painfully implies that Ellie had to watch Riley transform before realizing she was immune. Aside from her sexuality, Ellie has been praised overall for her characterization and development over the course of The Last of Us, and fans are more than excited to see where her journey takes her next, especially after the recent release of the follow-up game's trailer, where we get to see that she's grown up quite a bit, and has gotten really good at playing guitar now. And at number 10 is Father Martin from Outlast. Starting off this list is our guide from Outlast. When he first appears, you're like, I'd rather not follow you, kinda not into this whole insane priest vibe thing that you're going for, but then he starts leading you in the right direction, in a very unhelpful but still not entirely useless way. And what's it all for? Well, spoiler alert, just so you can witness the little show that he's gonna put on, aka his crucifixion on a burning cross. And well, look at that, he's a patient who's been having delusions of a higher calling and worships Walrider. Fun stuff. He's also the reason why you have to play that damn generator mission.
No! No, 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 no! 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 No, no!
Because he turns off the power. Thanks, bud. Good to know you got my back. And at number 9 is the Ghost Children from Slender Man. We're just riffing off this horror theme here. Screw these kids. Screw them so hard. Alright, so you wake up after a fairly terrifying encounter with Slender Man in the forest, and you're like, oh hey, it's such a pretty day outside. I guess I'll go for a walk. Aw, damn it, I gotta go in that mine, don't I? Damn. Wonder what could possibly be in there. Oh, it's all the terrifying children Slender Man has corrupted. Rad. And they're all in these damn little hoodies trying to just mess with you while you turn on all the generators to get out of there. And all you want to do is just like whack them with a blunt object. Find a crowbar, a plank of wood. There's literally tons of debris lying around this level. But no, because the one thing you can do is flash your flashlight more aggressively at them. Because that'll work, right? Yep, nope, won't work. Won't work at all. And at 8 is Jonathan Irons, aka Kevin Spacey from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Damn it, Kevin Spacey! So here's a character that we love to hate, and for all the right reasons, unlike some of the other ones on this list. So Irons is supposed to be one of the good guys, and he's not. In typical Kevin Spacey villainy, he betrays you and is low-key sadistic. I mean, he beats you with a wrench. And side note, he keeps on nagging you via that communications display that constantly pops up and ruins half your vision. Just saying. Moving into more despicable territory here, and at 7 is Porky Minch from Mother 3. Nobody likes a whiny brat. He's obnoxious, mildly disturbing with that mouth of his, and generally annoying. And then he becomes evil, hops into his spider mech machine suit thingy, and starts terrorizing you, and you know what? It's kind of freaky. I mean, look at him. He ends up time traveling and then he's back in Mother 3 and we find out that he's alive after like 10,000 years, which is super weird because he's still a child with a flavor for genocide, or at least looks like one. And the most annoying part, you don't get the satisfaction of finishing him off because he gets inside something called the Absolutely Safe Capsule, which he can stay in for eternity. Well, hey, maybe that's a worse fate. Some have compared him to Eric Cartman, but at least Cartman is funny, despite his negative attributes.
God damn it!
Porky though? Nah, not a redeeming quality. And at number 6 is Frank Tenpenny from GTA San Andreas. Frank just generally sucks as a human. He's a cop who abuses his power, is totally corrupt, and it's all for his own agenda. He manipulates local gangs into fighting one another. He blackmails people. He throws you out of his car, and he constantly mocks you. He has no issue killing people, including other police officers. And like, you're really conflicted about this because you want to like him because he's Samuel L. Jackson, or at least Samuel L. Jackson's voicing him, but he's just the worst. And at number 5 is the Duck Hunt Dog. The Duck Hunt Dog from Duck Hunt has been loathed by fans for decades now. He made his first appearance in 1969 in the Duck Hunt Sega game, and has been harassing gamers ever since. It doesn't matter how many ducks you hit, this asshole of a dog will laugh at you when you miss just one. It only takes one. And yes, he's also made our list for most annoying video game characters. I mean, if a character leaves you wanting to shoot them instead of, shooting the ducks, which is the objective of the game, well, I think that's pretty telling. And that sound cue will haunt my dreams forever. 4 is Ashley Graham from Resident Evil. Whoa, a damsel in distress character lacking any and all substance? Didn't see that one coming at all. So Ashley Graham is exactly that, and super annoying to boot. She's the daughter of the President of the United States, which just kinda makes her even more, privileged and useless. I mean, could you make it any harder for yourself to not get killed? And number 3 is Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem had his day, and he was great in it. He was iconic. But developers just couldn't let him die, and he's regressed into a sad hollow shame of what he once was. He's immature, misogynistic, and his jokes aren't even that funny, which personally I find to be the biggest crime of them all. He's like that popular guy in high school you looked up to and then 4 years later run into on the street and you're like, whoa dude, you're kind of a sad human being now and that sucks. You're a sad human being, Duke. And at number 2 is Zubat from Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. And hey, Silver and Gold while we're at it too, if we're being honest. So, picture this. You're working your way through Mount Moon. You've just defeated Brock after a particularly grueling gym battle in Pewter City, unless you chose Squirtle as your starter, in which case, you're not a part of this journey. And you're almost at the end, running out of potions too. And bam! Wild Pokemon appears, and of course it's another Zubat to ruin your day. Joy. Please, confuse my Pokemon more. I'd really love that. Don't even get me started on Pokemon Go when they're like legit the only Pokemon in your area and there's like 7 of them. Well, either that or Drowsy, but if I get started on that hypnotic this video will never end. And finally, in at number 1 is Jason from Heavy Rain. Press X to Jason.
Hey son, where did you go? You got me searching high and low.
Are we bringing back the trauma yet? Yeah, maybe. So Jason is the worst kid. He doesn't listen, he runs away, you get him the fucking balloon, and he's like super ungrateful about it. I mean, you should have known better for rewarding his craptastic behavior to begin with, but that's a different battle to be fighting. And then he runs away again, and like into a crowd that seems to just get thicker when you walk into it. And you think they could have given you some variation to the way that you yell out the word Jason.
Jason! Jason! Jason!
Then when you do find him, he completely ignores you shouting at him and decides that hey, it'd be a great idea to run across the street into oncoming traffic and then gets himself killed. But also how? Because the car wasn't moving that fast and Ethan's body took most of the blow. So I guess this kid is just like super fragile? No. Press X to Jason.
Press X to Jason. La, 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 la. Jason.
Number 10. Hades in Kingdom Hearts. That's right, not only is Hades protected from dying violently since Kingdom Hearts is aimed largely towards a younger audience, but he's also protected from death itself considering he's the Lord of the Underworld. Even in the game, when you beat him, he just falls back down to the Underworld. So instead of dying, Hades basically says, screw you guys, I'm going home. Number 9. Mario. Don't worry, I'm not saying that I'm so good at Mario games that I never die, because that's about as far from the truth as something can be. People playing Mario die an awful lot, myself especially. But the thing is, he always comes back. No matter how many times he falls in lava, gets smushed by a Whomp, or gets blasted in the face by Samus in Smash Bros, Mario always comes back, raring to go. So feel free to smack him, crush him, or eat him. He'll be back, and he'll be angry, and he might have his brother with him. Number 8. Ash. Or at least whatever you name your player character in Pokemon. Pokemon's rather different from a lot of these games in that your character never really fights for him or herself. You always just send your Pokemon to do the fighting for you, so there's never really any real danger for the character you're playing. And really, even the Pokemon that do the actual fighting don't really die, which brings me to my next point. Number 7. All the Pokemon in your party. Now keep in mind that I'm just talking about the games here and not the show, where death is definitely discussed. In the Pokemon games, there are references to the idea that Pokemon can die, and you even come across the ghost of a dead Marowak. But any Pokemon you have just can't die, they only faint. This might seem like a cop-out just so that you can aim it at kids, because nothing's really dying, but if you think about it, it's actually pretty crazy. A level 2 Caterpie with 1 HP that can barely walk is hit by a Hyper Beam from a level 100 Dragonite and it faints. No, that thing will be dead. Don't try to make me feel better. Fainting is what you do when you see a mouse and you're shocked. Ooh. Caterpie was hit by a powerful explosive blast. So grab a fork and don't let that tasty Caterpie meat go to waste. There's a piece there and over there. Oh. Right there. Number 6. Dark Souls characters. I found another loophole. In Dark Souls, while people die a lot, they don't actually die, because they're already dead, or rather undead. That wasn't confusing at all. Despite the fact that you lose or seemingly die in Dark Souls, and believe me, it happens a lot, you are always brought back to the bonfire by the Firekeeper. It seems kind of insane to say that you never die when talking about one of the most difficult games out there, but technicalities are fun, right? Number 5. Prince of Persia. In the 2008 Prince of Persia game, they took a a different approach from the respawning thing. Rather than have their main character seemingly die and respawn, anytime you're about to die, whether you miss a jump or are about to be killed, Aliko will save you and pull you back to safety. At one point, the game even forces you to try to kill yourself. So you're basically stuck Groundhog Daying it until you save the day. Swell. Number 4. The Nameless One from Planescape Torment. In this 1999 game, the protagonist is immortal. Anytime he dies, he wakes up soon after without memories of his past. In this case, the fact that the character can't die is basically the whole point of the game, with you trying to find out about his past selves throughout the game. It'd be pretty cool to be immortal, but it'd be pretty annoying to have to learn everything again every time you die. Would it be worth it? Personally, I'd say yes. Let me know in the comments section if this appeals to you too. Number 3. M. Bison from Street Fighter. M. Bison is a character who just can't seem to stay dead. No matter what happens, he always manages to continue on. I don't mean how he gets up between rounds or how he comes back to fight whenever you pick him. I mean he straight up keeps dying and having his soul go into other bodies. Using his psycho power, M. Bison's able to move his soul into the body of another, and he uses this time and time again, either by taking over other people or moving into newly constructed bodies. Whatever happens, the Bison abides. Number 2. Deadpool. If you know me from Top 10 Nerd, you'll know that I end up putting Deadpool in like as many lists as possible, because Deadpool is awesome. And guess what? He has his own video game.
Not sure the player understands our thinking yet.
Hey player, just go with it. We're about to change your life.
Deadpool has increased regeneration, which allows him to heal from pretty much any injury. Plus, in the comics, he literally can't die because he was cursed by Thanos, aka Death's creepy, jealous stalker. In the game, it seems he can die as he does so and meets death, but he comes back to life after, so I think it still counts. Number 1. Literally every character ever, because video games aren't real. They're just pictures on a screen, they're not really alive. What do you think, you're creating life every time your Sims have a baby? No, you're just looking at pixels being colored such that they take on the appearance of a child. They can't die. So the bad news is that nothing you do in video games matters. The good news is that you won't be going to hell because of all those people you purposefully drowned in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yay?